Good Friday morning, Jet fans. Week 4 of the NFL kicked off last night with the Eagles at the Packers. Eagles win 34-27. I'm going to be honest, I'm not feeling well today or this week. I don't know if it's allergies or a cold, but so if my voice or I start sneezing, I apologize. But I didn't stay up to watch the whole game last night. I wound up watching most of the first half. I think it was under the 2-minute warning when I actually just fell asleep. From the recaps of what I saw, the Packers were inside their 10, maybe inside the 5, had a first and goal, 4 passes, couldn't get into the end zone. Late in the fourth quarter, again, that was in the fourth quarter to begin with. Later on in the fourth quarter, Packers inside the 10, inside the 5 again, and a pass was deflected as Aaron Rodgers tried to squeeze between 2 defenders inside the 2, and the ball deflected into the end zone, picked off by the Eagles, and the Eagles win 34-27. So week 4 starts off, I should say, with the Eagles going into Green Bay, playing in a hostile environment on a Thursday night, and winning. So the Jets have a bye this week, and it's a little bit of a different football feel this week in the house and for Jet fans. The joke is, hey, they're not playing, they're not going to lose. I want to see them play. I miss when they don't play. I just went from February to August without them playing, and now here we are, week 3, or week 4 to say they're not playing. But I think the bye came at a perfect time. The team had a lot of changes in the offseason, and the bye came at a perfect time. Before we get into that, let's look at some matchups for this week. You got Cleveland, Baltimore. There's a lot of hype about Baker Mayfield. He put a win against the Jets in between 2 losses now. Excuse me. Does he bounce back in Baltimore and come back and make a win, or is he overhyped? I mean, you can say the same thing about Darnold. Until these guys prove something, you don't know. The other game is Patriots at Buffalo. Buffalo now at their second home game in a row. They're on the road the first 2 weeks. At New York the first 2 weeks. They won both of those games. Then they went home and beat Cincinnati last week. This is a tremendous test for the Bills because, New England has not given up an offensive touchdown all season. They've given up only 3 points to an offense. The 2 touchdowns they gave up to one in Jets. It was a pickoff by Jamal Adams, and it was a muff punt by the Patriots that was recovered in the end zone. So they are actually, the Patriots are 7-point favorites in Buffalo, which if you go by the old rule that the home team gets 3 points, they're actually a 10-point favorite. But let's move on to one more game. Washington comes to the Giants. This is a great time for this game. The Giants are 1-2 coming off a come-from-behind win. Daniel Jones, new era. They come back in Tampa Bay to win. Now they come home after they lost their home opener to Buffalo. They lost on the road to Dallas to open the season. So now they come from behind. Now they have the new quarterback. If the fans for the Giants aren't hyped and behind this team on Sunday, they'll never be on this year. I know you have Eli faithful, and I can only hope that my quarterback gives me what Eli gave the Giants in his tenure here. But the crowd, the team, and Daniel Jones should be ready to go for Sunday, and I think they win. The Redskins are 0-3. They gave a fight to the Bears on Monday night, but I don't see the Redskins pulling this off. The Giants are actually 3.5-point favorites or 3-point favorites, so they're calling it a pick'em. I don't know. I just think the Giants should come out and dominate this game. Just on momentum alone. Okay, so I went back to the week 4 now being the bye for the Jets, and it came at a perfect time. Why? All right. There was a lot of things going on with this team throughout the season. From when the season ended last year, you lost, you fired your head coach and his coaching staff. You brought in Adam Gase. You brought in, you had your draft. After your draft, you get rid of your GM and you bring in a new GM who seems to be making moves. You have Le'Veon Bell, who hasn't played in over a year, Everybody wants to know what he's doing. You have Sam Darnold in his sophomore year. Is he going to step up? You have Crowder, who's supposed to help Sam Darnold. You have Mosley, that's supposed to anchor that linebacking core. There was talk of maybe, getting that wild card. Until Brady and Belichick break down, the division is theirs for somebody to take it. And no disrespect to the Bills at 3-0, tied with the Patriots, but the division is theirs. So this was a lot of hype around this team, especially around here. Jamal Adams stepping up, just taking the next step, and you come out you're 0-3, and the way you lose, giving up a 16-point lead in week 1, week 2, you basically you're with your third string quarterback most of the game, you're holding the Browns to a 16-3 lead, and then Odell Beckham just burns you for 81 or 89 yards, and the game is typically over. And then you go to the Patriots and they just manhandle you. So I think Adam Gase had said he gave the team off this week. I agree. Don't force them in. Give them the week off. Let them go do what they have to do. Come back, get back to business. You have 13 games. See what you can do. Do I think they go 13-0 and they end up 13-3? No. Do I wish that? Yes. Do I look for that every week? Yes. But let's be realistic. Sam Darnold's coming off an ailment, not an injury, an ailment, that you lose weight, you get very, very fatigued, you lose muscle mass, you're sleeping all times of the day and all times of the night, you're up, or you're up at odd hours. It's going to take him some time to get back to game speed. So if he's feeling a little better today or this week, and I actually believe they were going to check his spleen. They said his spleen had gone down a little bit more. He was able to run, do some light cardio. If he's not practicing by Wednesday, then don't start him. But I don't think he does start. Maybe he does suit up. But this is something that this team needs to look at, and see the long run. Are we rushing him back? Is he going to get injured because he lost weight, because he lost muscle mass? Is he prone to get sick again? How long does it take his body to recover? So, with that being said, we go now to looking ahead to, a week without the Jets. And they all do their thing. So, a week without the Jets, I'm looking back at, I want to share with you how I became a Jet fan, because that's what a lot of people ask me. What made you follow this team? What made you, not follow the Giants when it was so easy to follow the Giants? And I'll explain, how I became a Jet fan and why. Why, as you can see, I have more on this side and more over there. The room's still being under construction. Why this is a part of my life. Excuse me. Okay. 1982, I'm 10 years old, and I'm probably about 10 because it was the playoffs, and I'm watching the Jets in the AFC Championship game at Miami, the Mud Bowl, for you that are old enough to know that. And the Jets was 14-0 on a game that they're literally one game away from the Super Bowl. And back then, I didn't realize how close you could get, They're killing me here, because NFL Network is showing the Spike game, which was a game I was at in 1994, the day before my birthday. This is just killing me. It was in my end zone also. But anyway, so I watched the AFC Championship game at one of my grandparents' friend's house, all by myself. And I'm like, all right, they lost, they'll be back. Following year, I go and I'm watching I'm lucky enough to get tickets. The final season at Shea, and my mom gets tickets from a family member from work or whatever. 6 seats, mezzanine level, 50-yard line or 40-yard line, Shea Stadium. So I can remember being on a train and we're pulling, about a stop away from Shea, and you see what's the Arthur Ashe Stadium now, but back then it was just the U.S. Open Stadium. And then you make the turn with the train, and then you see Shea, and you pull in, and you come out of the station, and you're basically in the outfield of Shea Stadium. coming from like the first baseline over to the third baseline. And the Colts are warming up in the end zone by the picnic area where the benches were. For those of you who remember Shea and when the Mets played there, and then we go up to the seats and we're smack dead in the middle, maybe 45-yard line, and they do the lineup and they do the defensive lineup, and out comes the sack exchange, and out comes Abdul Salam, Joe Klecko, Marty Lyons, and then comes Mark Gaston. Mark Gaston's doing the sack dance as they announce him, and it's something that I've only seen on TV, never seen this live. And it's a different feel. Football game is a different feel. I've been to many Yankee games before that. Football game is every down you're cheering. Where, Yankee game or baseball game, it's on 2 strikes you're cheering. On a full count you're cheering. On a bases loaded you're cheering. It's different. So, typical Jet fashion, and I should have known from the beginning, the Jets lose 17-14. To the Baltimore Colts. Pat Leahy misses a field goal early in the game. It wasn't like he missed it to tie the game early, but early in the game I think he misses a field goal, and they lose 17-14. The Jets defense was really good that day, even though they gave up 17 points. Gastineau had 4 sacks, and he did the sack dance 3 times. I was hooked. I was hooked. From the fans and the green faces and the jerseys. And back then, the jerseys back then were not like now. First of all, you couldn't have a jersey made unless you went to a sports store and bought a blank green jersey and it had the name sewed onto it and the number you wanted. Back then, I think there was 7, 14, 80, 88, and 99, I want to say. Richard Todd was the quarterback for the Jets back then. And I was just hooked. Now, I will be honest with you, I did watch Giant games. Usually back then, and still to this day, 1 o'clock with the Jets, 4 o'clock with the Giants. And I rooted for both. I was a big Mark Bavaro fan. I was a big Bill Parcells fan. The only time I didn't root for the Giants was when they played for the Jets. I played the Jets. But I remember my buddy George saying, he comes from a big Jet family also. How do you root for the Giants? It's another New York team. And I knew, because I didn't root for the Mets. I was a Yankee fan. I was like, yeah, you're right. So I used to watch the Giant game only because it was, back then you didn't have Red Zone. You didn't have Thursday night game. You didn't have a Sunday night game at that point. So I was straight up Jet fan. In 88, my mom got tickets again from work. Monday night game, Jets versus Bills. So me and my dad went. First time ever at the Meadowlands to see a game. 300 level, behind the jet line sideline, probably about the 10-yard line. First time I ever seen AstroTurf, or they call it AstroTurf, artificial turf, in person. Monday night game, the lights, the crowd was incredible. What I thought was incredible back at Shea just blew it away. Because first of all, there's 20,000 more here. It's that night. I mean, these guys came ready. And the Jets didn't. The Jets, I think, lost 33-10. Their only touchdown came on an interception return. And it was just, horrible. But I can remember, and I don't know if many of you do remember this game, this Monday night game. It was by Halloween. It was late October. And like I said, the game was out of hand early. So the fans like to entertain themselves. So out came this giant blow-up pumpkin. I mean, it had to be this big. And people at the lower level were hitting it around the whole lower level of the ball. And it got to a point where it got to the tunnel where the players come out of, and it fell to the floor, fell to the field level, behind the end zone. And security guard came and take it, and they chanted to throw it back, and he takes it into the tunnel, and now the place just erupts with boos. And you can see it's going to start getting rowdy. So maybe a couple of minutes later, out comes the security guard, and he's the hero of the day because he hits it back into the seats, and they start hitting it again. And the guy next to me, he's the older guy, you can see was a season ticket holder, screams out, "This is going to be known as the Pumpkin Game." And that's how I always refer to it. My first Monday night game at the Meadowlands was the Pumpkin Game. A couple years later, I was lucky enough to get season tickets with my father, and we've been going to games ever since. And I've seen some really great times. I've seen some really bad times. I've seen some times that made you scratch your head. And that's what we're about here at nyjetstories.com. Yes, I do a recap of the game. I give predictions. Excuse me, but this is for the fans. This is not about writing or speaking about just the state of the team. It's about the whole culture around the team. I can remember the first year we had season tickets. Game started at 1, we'd get there 11:15, 11:30. Couldn't find a spot. We wouldn't tailgate. We'd get there so late that we'd have to just walk into the game. And then as the season went on, we realized, hey, let's get here a little earlier. And it turned into bringing sandwiches and a thermos and a newspaper and getting there at 10:30 to, eventually, bringing a bag of food and, getting there at 10. And then the following season, we got into get there at 9, grill, TV, watch the pregame show. If it was a 4 o'clock game, watch the 1 o'clock game. And we made it part of our lives. And it's funny, my mom does this, my wife Joy does this, the kids do this. The season runs 16 weeks, but we follow this team 365, 24/7. So, usually after the season ends, I'll give you, they have usually a sale on Jet merchandise. We make sure we're up to date with all the stuff. Hey, Dad, we should get some more flags for the car. Hey, Dad, we need new hats. Earmuffs, gloves for the game when it gets cold. You go prepared. You go prepared to the game. So we always look for that stuff, off season for the next season. We go to, we follow the free agent signings. We go to the draft party. 1 year we went to the draft on Thursday and then went on Saturday at Florham Park. We went to the stadium on Thursday. Every year we've been doing that. We've been doing that actually since they built MetLife. The first year I went to the Jet party was the first year MetLife was open, the 2010 draft. And we've been going ever since. I used to take my cousins. Now I take my girls. I take my father-in-law. Take my buddies sometimes, but we do that. Then usually, April minicamp starts, and we go to minicamp because now we need our football fix. And we're forever. Thank God for the internet and Twitter and everything, because you're up to date on everything that happens with this team. And then you get to April, and the schedule comes out, and this is great because my wife takes the schedule, and right away she marks down all the home games, the 10 home games, and she goes, "Those are mommy days." And those are the days that she does what she has to do in the house or what she has to do, personally or whatever it is, because she knows we're already going. And then we plan vacation. And the vacation is usually around preseason games or the Sunday games. Obviously we do vacation in the summer most of the times. So it's like, all right, training camp, is, the last 2 weeks of July usually opens up to public. Then August or whatnot before the preseason game starts. Okay, so that's during the week. And we plan our vacations around it. We plan family outings and parties around the Sundays. And for 2 reasons. Number one, they know how much we invest in this team, both with our time and with our emotions and with money. So to have 10 games a season and you can't make 2 or 3, that adds up. So, I'll get a phone call, from my mother. Hey, do you guys have a game September, whatever? Me and Papa going out of town, and he wants to know if it's home or away. Oh, they have a game. Or we're thinking of having people over. What time is the game? Or we're going to somebody's house, but they said either Saturday or Sunday. And my wife does the same thing. The girls have this, the girls have that. We need to plan this, we need to plan that. Is there a game? So this is a family thing. Like I said, my father and I have been going to games together. Our first game together was in '88. We started going together full-time, I want to say 92. And then 2013, I started taking my girls most of the times. It started off, I took my oldest one to a home opener when she was three or four against the Patriots. And she had more fun before the game than at the game, and so did I, obviously. Wound up leaving early, and then I would just do preseason games with my girls. My younger girl Alyssa would come. I would buy an extra ticket, and we go to preseason games. When they moved to MetLife, we added a third seat. And 2013, it went from the two preseason games to maybe 2 or 3 regular season games to now they go to all the games unless school gets in the way or something else gets in the way. But for the most part, they come to the games. We tailgate, we grill. We go in. My girls like to see warm-ups. They know almost all the players. Almost all the players, recognize them. They've been on Channel 2 interviewing the president of the team and interviewing cheerleaders. They have been on the field. My younger girl was in the yearbook at one of the draft parties. My older girl actually, when both of my girls did the interviewing for CBS, my older girl actually had a picture that was taken by the Jet photographer of her interviewing a cheerleader. And that actually made an advertisement for the Jets for, I believe, the draft the following year. So you walk in and it's my daughters on the big screen, not taking fan photos, but photos from the Jets. Or you walk into the stadium and somebody that works for the Jets goes, "Aren't you the girls from Channel 2? Aren't you the girls that are on the sideline?" They know most of the players. Like I said a few weeks ago, they met Rontez Miles on vacation back in February. He remembered them. He took a picture with them. So this is a family thing, and it what keeps us going. To follow the team even when they're 0-3. We always have hope. And like I said, thank God for social media and the internet, because I would be at the office and I'd get a text, "Hey, Dad, Santonio Holmes got released." Hey, get a phone call. "Hey, Dad, Geno Smith got punched." It's great. They follow the team. They have their own jerseys. They have, I love it. It makes us. We are Jet fans through and through. And this week, it's going to be a little boring not watching Jets. We'll have the red zone on. We'll check out these matchups. And then next week is the Eagles. And I'll have a preview video on the Eagles next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, after I hear some news on what's going on with who's starting and whatnot. So, Jet fans, www.nyjetstories.com. That's www.nyjetstories.com. We're on Twitter at handle NYJetStories. We're on Facebook at Facebook page NYJetStories. Follow us. Send us a video. Send us a tweet. Send us an email to why you're a Jet fan or what you like about our videos and whatnot. Enjoy the week off. Even though I'd rather be playing, I think they came at a great time. Hopefully my voice is better for next week. And it's on to the Eagles. So Jet fans, have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed my story and how I became a Jet fan. I'd love to hear your story on what you do, your game day rituals. And that was funny. I had a comic I sent to my buddies yesterday, my cousin and my buddies who are straight up Jet fans also. And I forgot the name of the comic, but it was basically the husband sitting down, hat, shirt, all Jet memorabilia. He's watching TV, and his wife says, "You have your lucky hat, your lucky shirt, your lucky shorts on, and yet the Jets are still losing." And basically, that's the story of a Jet fan. We never give up hope. We may be pessimistic at times, maybe most of the times, but our main objective is to be there when they get to that big game, and hopefully sometime soon. So have a great weekend. Next game is October. I can't believe September's over yet already. But week 4 NFL this week, and then week 5 Jets get back to business, and let's hope they can do something to right the ship. Have a great weekend, guys.